So I've been playing Honkai Impact 3rd for about 2 years now, and I have absolutely loved every moment of this game. How much it embraces its weeb culture as an anime game, inviting so many of the tropes unashamedly, but still having a fantastic story and a set of characters that I will always remember. From the engaging combat
dismal, crazy, badass, apocalyptic, savage, 6 skills, smoking sexy style.
The constant grinding that rewards those who play with endgame rewards, and it's not tied to RNG, the absolutely amazing character designs, the satisfying endgame content with ranked modes, and the Elysian realm, and last, but certainly not least, the dark, depressing, heavy story that makes the despair in Danganronpa seems like a breeze, because at least the depressing moments only last for like an hour. I am still recovering from the pain that was chapter... That part in particular I will go into detail with a total tone shift later on in the video. So yeah, I've got plenty of experience when it comes to this game, so I can answer many of the questions you may have, such as, number 1, how is the gacha? Number 2, how good is the story and characters? Number 3, what is the endgame like? Number 4, how good is the gameplay? Number 5, how free to play friendly is it? And what do the updates bring? And much more. So let's start with the character design.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh my gosh, these designs are so good! Look at Mobius, she is so sexy as a snake. Oh my gosh, May as a Hersher of Thunder is riding a frickin' Thunder Dragon. Kiana just made the entire area. Look at Elysia, she is just so pretty and I love her so much. Look, Celia is slashing the enemy to pieces while she sadistically laughs, and I love every moment of it. I could go on and on and on about just how amazing the character designs are in this game, and just how good they feel to play. Hey, did you know that over 90% of my viewers are unsubscribed? Just hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell to be notified, because I need to pay my editor for long videos like this. And now, back to the review. Do you like Devil May Cry? Do you like fast combos that are all about racking up that kill and combo counter as high as you can?
Flashback.
Smoking sexy style!
End of flashback.
Because then you will love this game. It's a team-focused game with 3 characters, typically focusing on one of the core elements: fire, thunder, ice, or physical. You choose a leader for bonuses, and then the rest of your team with a little fairy companion to join you. Though, don't worry too much about the little fairy companion. And then off you go to slay enemies and bosses. Now, of course, with it being a gacha game, you have to gather mats for your characters and weapons to level up, which isn't as limited as you may think. Raising a character weapon to max will always be the most expensive, so you have to be selective with the mats you use on that. But for the most part, you don't have to worry about grinding specific mats, like say in FGO, Star Rail, or Genshin. Most of these mats are given to you by just playing the events, doing your dailies, and your weeklies. You won't have to worry about dedicating a long time at once to get a specific mat to, say, ascend a character weapon or talent. Just play the events, story, daily, weeklies, and you will be able to raise your character and their level just fine. With the exception of ascending stigmata and weapons. Those are easily the most limited, but you still get plenty of what you need for the phase shifters, which you use for ascending stigmata. The Honkai shards and pre-arm stuff you need to level your weapons, that is the most limited resource in the game, so you will need patience to eventually get more of these. There's not really a spot you can grind this stuff for. I am sure you are wondering, just how free-to-play is the game? And I have to answer, it is very free-to-play friendly. In the story, other than completing side content, which is not that challenging, you are given trial characters to use in the story. And in many instances, you can only use what the story provides. So your gacha pulls or how much you raise your characters will have zero impact on the story after level 40. Unfortunately, for some baffling reason, it isn't that way early on in the story, as there is a gateway that won't open until your captain level is 40. Why? I honestly don't know why. It's not like the content beyond that point is too hard for the characters you have raised. HoYoverse, if you are watching this, get rid of that. Actually, as of writing this, I have discovered that you can access any chapter in the game at any time, so glad HoYoverse learned from that. As a new player, you will get an abundance of bonus goods, free S ranks, free weapons, and you will get a gacha that is limited to 3 months long, as well as the stigmata and weapons you need for said characters. When I first joined, it was the Hersher of Thunder on the banner alongside Azure Imperia, the ultimate Thunder DPS and ultimate support for all elements, which that last title is now taken by Hersher of Truth Bronya. But oh great Empress, what does the gameplay look like between someone that can't get that many crystals or has bad luck rolling? Well, I'm glad you asked, because this game is incredibly generous when it comes to giving out free characters as the game gets older. Heck, we just got Searing as a free character. You may not know this character, but she was one of the most desired characters to play as for years. And people, including myself, would have wailed for her. And they made her free! Not just wait a few years to add her into the shop. No, she is free out the gate. And even better, the only thing you had to go for the gacha was her weapon. And it was guaranteed within 5 multis. Because even her stigmata was craftable. Yes, crafting will take you a long time to do, but still, the fact that they did that for one of the most desired characters in the game speaks volumes of this game's free-to-play friendliness. Oh yeah, that's another thing. A vast majority of these characters you see here, how many do you think are tied to the gacha right now? There's around 80 characters, and as of this patch, the amount of characters you can get outside of the gacha is 57. No, you didn't hear that wrong. 57 out of the playable 80 characters are free to obtain. Many are craftable that you can get from doing your dailies and weeklies. Even me, as a dolphin spender, to this day, I am still crafting more equipment and powering up my favorite characters. You see, this is what I mean. The endgame rewards both spenders and free-to-play players. The more time you put into this game, as well as the story, the more you are rewarded. Oh, and don't worry too hard when it comes to missing out on a character's signature stigmata. As you can see, you can use the Foundry to slowly, over time, craft replacement free-to-play stigmata. In fact, with Seirin's recent addition of the G4 stigmata, it is actually an extremely powerful alternative you can give to any fire DPS. The same with Eden's signature set, and Hersher of Reason's Bronya's new signature set. Even Physical has a great set from Alicia's Best in Slot that you can craft. There are many free-to-play options available to those that don't wish to spend. It may take some time to do, but the point is, it can be done, and it gives you something to work for with all your dailies and endgame grinding. Now, let's talk about what it is like to do your dailies and weeklies / endgame content. First off, after you do said dailies in increasing difficulty, at some point you unlock the ability to just use your AP to instantly get them done. No hassle. Now in terms of everyday dailies, you can do some quick missions that'll take you about, 2 to 3 minutes. Really, it's super quick to do the bare minimum to get your dailies done outside of events. More on that later. So now we come to your weeklies. Ranked PvE, where you take out enemies as fast as you can in order to get crystals, and some other rewards that will help build your account. This can take up to 30 minutes or so in one run, depending on how adamant you are on getting the highest run, and it also runs 3 times a week. Don't worry, as there are multiple rankings / difficulties for the enemies to be in. It's not like Genshin's Spiral Abyss, where it's one size fit all for everyone. It adjusts to how strong your account is. Take for example, you had little difficulty and scored high on the leaderboards, you'll get sent up a higher rank, and the enemies become stronger. And also, for those that aren't at the true endgame, which is level 70 or higher, unless they adjusted the game since I last looked at it for beginners, there is a newer mode that you can get your ranked PvE done in about 5 minutes or so. Really, it's so quick, and I wish I had it at the start of my account. There is also Elysian Realm, which first, I must state that I do not recommend doing this mode until you are done with Chapter 17, as it has heavy spoilers and additional lore. So first off, you are going to have to go through the Elysian Realm story, which is going to take you quite a long time. But I did hear they made it easier to grind through since when it first came out. But once you are all done with that, one Elysian Realm run will typically take you 20 to 30 minutes, depending on your luck, as it is a roguelike where it is complete RNG to what buffs you get as you go as a solo character. There are items you can equip to help influence your odds better, especially after you finish the story. And if you want to max out the stuff you can get each week, you have to do it 3 to 4 times depending on the difficulty you pick. But it can be pretty fun, especially with the buffs you get after finishing the story. There's entirely new playstyles with these characters here, unlocking new powers they never would have had in the regular game.
Target acquired! Proton cannon!
Anyway, your next weekly is actually 2 choices, but both are co-op where you team up with fellow captains to fight enemies. Depending on your luck with connecting with others, or you can just call a friend to speed that up, It can take anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes per week. It can be fun to mess around with friends. The next weekly you will have is Memorial Arena, where you fight strong bosses and try to kill them as fast as possible. But any Valkyrie you choose and their stigmata are locked out of fighting the other bosses, so it's definitely harder to do the less characters you have raised. But it can be rather fun. Especially the third one, to try to figure out how to abuse time slow mechanics to take out the boss in less than 1 clock second. The final weekly worth noting is an additional mode you unlocked called Open World, which has 4 different areas, including a world that takes place over 10 years after the main events of the story as of this review. Now, these modes all have their unique story mode as well that you can progress through by doing these weeklies 3 times a week. One takes place in an alternate distant past, one in an airborne HQ, and 2 in the far distant future called APHO, a post-Honkai Odyssey. All of these stories are very engaging and add to the character development of so many characters, and they are quite lengthy as well, with how long they take with their own epic battles and revelations about the world to share, as well as build the world lore. But in terms of the weeklies and the time it takes, it mainly goes down to hunting enemies around the area, which depending on the size of the map can take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. And in a post-Honkai Odyssey, you are using exclusive characters with their own playstyle that you can't use in the main game. Personally, this is my favorite of the weeklies I do, just because I love this combat so much. It's also worth noting that the farming for the Foundry, aka free-to-play stigmata and weapons, is also a weekly, and it doesn't take that long to do, but very worth doing, especially for the stigmata in the Universal Mirage. Now, let's talk about the various events. You never know what to expect with these. The only consistent thing is the stories for the events have usually 3 to 5 hours worth of reading and are usually very entertaining stories. And we get 1 event per patch. Sometimes we get even more than that. There was an event where we had a unique action combat with Hacksaw Bunny. We had literal Plants vs. Zombies. We had a 2D action platformer. I really love that one. And we had some weird card game thing. We even had Candy Crush as a temporary game mode. I didn't like that one, but we had it. If you thought Genshin had gameplay variety in its minigames, you have not seen this. Each event usually comes with an additional daily in order to get more stuff out of the event to buy in the shop. But they are relatively easy to do and don't take that long to do. But the event stories for the most part are very lighthearted and very enjoyable. But every now and then, it will share the same serious tone as to how dark the main story can get. I will never forget the misery and depression that came with long-legged Terry's second part of her events. Oh, moving on. Now, when it comes to the gacha, the pity system for getting a character is 100 pulls or 10 multis. If you save up your crystals, you should be able to get characters just fine. Now, the weapon and stigmata, on the other hand... That is when the cruelty of this gacha truly shows its hand. You need the signature character's weapon in order to fully use their kit. Not having it heavily nerfs them gameplay-wise. For a comparison, imagine in, say, Smash or any fighting game, that you lose access to 3 attacks related to the special skill button. You need this in order to unlock a character's full potential and unlock a skill unique to them. This isn't true for a lot of older characters, but for current characters, it's mostly the case. There are some rare circumstances where it's better to change weapons, but for the most part, you need their weapons, and it's far more valuable than getting the full stigmata set. Now, the challenge is for free-to-play support characters like Haxor Bunny, Pardofelis, Chrononavi, etc. They usually only require 3 multis to get at least the weapon or stigmata. It's not always tied to that. Depending on the gacha, just to get the weapon could be 3 to 5 multis. Or it can be tied to a random pity for each stigmata and weapon. Meaning, depending on the gacha, you can be guaranteed to get the weapon within 5 multis period, or 5 multis to hit one of 4 pities in order to get one of the 3 stigmata or the weapon. This can easily go into 200 pulls at the worst luck. Getting the character is easy, but getting their weapon and stigmata, that is where the real nightmare is. Thankfully, there is another pity in place if you get 2 duplicates of signature stigmata you already have. You can exchange them for 1 signature stigmata. This doesn't exist for weapons, however, though getting a full set of stigmata is not entirely necessary, for the most part. But without it, it will heavily restrict the character's power. An older character with a full signature stigmata set and signature weapon, 9 times out of 10, it will surpass a newer character with just free-to-play stigmata. So you have to be careful and selective with your crystals. Usually I have found with both the Battle Pass and $5 Crystal Monthly, I was able to guarantee getting a character every 2 patches and have enough to spare for attempting to go for weapons. But for a pure free-to-play, it's going to be much tighter. So definitely keep that in mind. This is what will give you an edge in the weekly ranked PvE mode. But the cost of chasing meta adds up fast. So if I were you, I'd only focus on getting the characters. And then if you really like them, then go for their stigmata. After all, as I said earlier, you can get strong alternatives with the Foundry. And I'm not even going to go into how many copies of a character you need to max them out. Just don't do it. If you thought getting constellations in Genshin or multiple NPs for FGO was ridiculous, you have to get, like, I think over 10 to 15 copies in order to go from S to SSS rank. It's just not worth it. Besides, as you play the game and its many celebration and paid crystal spending events, you get rewarded plenty of stuff. Look at this SS Kiana and Hersher of Thunder May. I rolled them once on the gacha, and through the Battle Pass and paid events and other celebrations, I got both of them to SS. So it's not even worth ever trying to roll for more than one copy. You only make them slightly stronger. Just never, and I mean never, roll on the dorm supply. Over half the Valkyries there you can get as a free-to-play. And it's better to spend your crystals on a character you really want. This is a trap. Do not touch it with the exception of dorm tickets, which you will get plenty of with the starter campaign once you start the game. Now, this next part, let's talk about what you get out of spending in the game. For one such thing, the $5 monthly is easily the best value you can get. 60 crystals a day for 30 days, as well as 500 extra crystals for 30 consecutive logins. 60 times 30 equals 1,800, plus 500 equals 2,300, which is almost enough for a multi. Very much worth it in my eyes, as it is very inexpensive. When it comes to the Battle Pass, you get a lot of bang for your buck. Pieces you can use to upgrade/get gacha characters without having to roll the gacha. However, I would not say it's entirely necessary, but it does greatly help to build up the power of your account early on, but does lose value as the game goes on and your account gets stronger. But I have been getting it since day one, since it helps to get the pre-arm materials, as those are so limited to get later on in the game. So it's up to you if you want the Battle Pass or not. Now, every few months, anniversary/New Year, or such, there will be crystal spending events /spending/paid events, where you get rewarded solely from how many crystals you spend in one patch. And these rewards can range from getting a whole S-rank character only in the gacha, 2 weapons or stigmata, or even pieces of characters or elves for battle. Now, these can heavily incentivize you to spend, but here is the thing. These rewards are nice and can be worth going through selectively. Because as nice as these rewards are, except for the pure crystal spending events, which rely solely on how much you roll, and if you saved up enough crystals up to that point, is no issue. The top-up/paid events are rewards you only get from how many crystals you buy in the top-up room. And these... oh boy! I want you to take a look at these prices. Now, normally, when you first buy these, you get double what you pay once. Let's take the most expensive one. 6,660 crystals for $100. That's enough for two and a half multis. Double that, and that's 5 multis, which is enough to build up to half the amount needed for pity the first time. After you buy one of these bundles once, that top-up double bonus is gone, which is barely over 3 multis now. And this adds up fast. If you are ever tempted to spend on this game, do it very, and I mean very selectively. I really want to emphasize this. Pity carries over from character banner to character banner. The characters usually rerun, even the newest one, within 2 to 3 patches. That's like 2 to 3 months. It's not that long of a wait. It isn't like Genshin or Fate Grand Order, where you won't see these characters rerun in over a year. So you have time to take it easy and gather up crystals for their rerun. But when it comes to their stigmata and weapons, the pity never carries over, so it's best to try and get it in one go, if possible. Please be careful if you decide to spend on this game, because topping up on pure crystals adds up fast. There is one last thing to talk about when it comes to spending, and that would be some of the limited costumes that you can only buy with real money. Those are definitely on the upper end of expensive for just a cosmetic change. But it's up to you if seeing Kiana in a Neko swimsuit is worth it for $20. It was for me because I absolutely adore Kiana in the story. I do not regret it. And then there is the Gacha outfits. These can take up to over 10k crystals to successfully get the costume for the character, but they do dramatically alter how their attacks and such look. Plus, you do get some cool bonuses on the Gacha, but you can't even get a chance to get the character unless you roll more than 5 times. And each roll, the amount of crystals becomes more and more. It's time for me to talk about the primary reason I love this game, and why I made this video in the first place. The life-changing, depressing, and uplifting story that is Honkai Impact 3rd. Everything I have said till now has just been supplementary to why I adore this game so much. I have played many games. I have watched many movies, many animes, but very few have impacted me on the same level as Honkai Impact 3rd. Everything up to now, we are completely shifting tones with this video, because I want to make sure I sell just how important and how impactful this story is to me. Honkai Impact 3rd was heavily inspired by Neon Genesis Evangelion and Magical Girls. And that's what this story is. If you took a show like Madoka Magica and its tones and fused it with Neon Genesis Evangelion, this is what you would get. At first, when I played the story, I did not care much for Kiana, Mei, or Bronya all that much, as they seem like cardboard cutouts of your typical anime tropes. The silent but smart type Bronya, the leader and sort of voice of reason for the group Mei, and the hyper-energetic, lazy, school-skipping Kiana, which is like if Naruto was turned into a female. Kiana constantly brags about wanting to be the #1 Valkyrie in the world, infected for Honkai, which is a series of monsters that keeps popping up in the world. The first few chapters are all about getting to know these characters, as well as their major, Himiko, who wants to teach these girls how to help the organization Shiskel to stop the Honkai outbreak. And for a while, it mainly focuses on setting up the characters' personalities. Kiana's love for Mei, and how lazy Kiana can be, but still wants to be a great fighter one day. But there is a darkness that very subtly starts to inch its way up Kiana's mind. Another presence inside her that seems to eat at her fears and doubts. But this does not become that important until later. Admittedly, Honkai Impact 3rd does have a very slow start, setting up the characters and the world. But if you stick with it, from Chapter 5 and onward, the happy-go-lucky tune, with a bit of seriousness from time to time, vanishes entirely. After Chapter 5, this dark entity that was slowly haunting Kiana finally breaks through to her mind and unleashes all of Kiana's fear, regret, and anger out onto this world, which allows this entity to take over her body, and everything from this point changes. The tone completely shifts as this dark entity unleashes her rage and anger towards the world. Not even Kiana's best friend that she so dearly loves can knock her out of it. Now Kiana has become the greatest threat to the entire world. A Hersher, a being that is on a completely different level from Honkai, said to only be 13 of them. Think of them as Archons from Genshin, as a comparison, only far more powerful. Every Hersher has enough power to completely destroy the world on their own. This is when the world recognized Honkai as something special for just being a mobile game. Humanity cannot stop her. No power can stop her.
Hail my proud wing on and on that waxen wing, show this head and flow.
It seems the end of humanity. Her anger towards humans is without measure. And I dare not spoil how this part of the story ends. But it has left many Honkai fans in tears. Obviously, this isn't the end, as there are so many chapters. From this point onwards, that Madoka Magica tone is set in stone. There are still lighter moments of lightheartedness. It's not all doom and gloom, but Kiana has to live with the sins of her actions, and goes through an incredibly amazing character arc that spanned for over 3 years. I'm not going to spoil it for you here. And so many other characters get so much love and development. Nobody here really feels like a throwaway character. They are given so much depth and love in the story. Some of my favorites include Seely, Mei, Kiana obviously, Bronya, Fuha, just so many good characters. There is one moment I do wish to discuss, as it left an immense impact on me. This is your one warning to skip ahead in the video if you do not wish to be spoiled of a major moment in the story. I want to discuss this moment because it is truly when Honkai Impact 3rd became one of my favorite stories in fiction. Kiana, at this point in the story, has gone through so much development as a character, bearing the sins of her past. However, to those in power, she is still a tool to be used. Various organizations have seeked out that godly power she has, but Kiana has sealed it away in herself using her willpower alone. She no longer belongs to the Shiskel organization. She is completely alone. She has tried to do her best to help people and save the world, but it's come at a cost. Her body is becoming more and more infected with the Honkai corruption, and at this rate, she will die in 2 months. But she still continues to be a hero, saving others, but hastening her own death. And Mei knows this. She values Kiana, loves her dearly for what she means to her in the past. But she failed to stop Kiana from turning into that monster. She's failed to find her for so long. And when she does finally find her, she's nearly at death's door. After saving an entire city from a huge explosion. Mei, more than anything, wants to save her friend. But someone from Shiskel stands in her way, wanting to capture Kiana for the Overseer's greater plan. Mei would love nothing more than to bring her dear friend back home. But she can't defeat this foe. She's too weak. And she is defeated and left to cry in sorrow at her powerlessness. Skip ahead a few chapters, and Mei finally finds Kiana again, and wants more than nothing for the two of them to just leave this all behind and live out their lives the best they can without endangering Kiana. But Kiana cannot abandon the innocent. She cannot abandon others. She tells Mei no matter what, she will continue to fight. That is her mission. Mei, once again, is too weak, not just in strength, but she cannot convince her dear friend's iron will. And she knows it will lead to Kiana's death. Both of them soon discover a chain reaction of Honkai energy will soon destroy the very area they are in, as well as the citizens and innocent people there. And Kiana has an idea to seal all the Honkai energy into herself to save everybody, which would no doubt result in Kiana's death, a fate Mei wants to avoid at all costs. That is when she gets an offer to join the very organization that Shiskel is fighting against. One that seems to endanger humanity and experiments on humanity with cruel methods, kidnapping innocents and such in the hope of ultimately stopping the Honkai crisis. She is told if she willingly becomes a Hersher and joins their cause, that she can stop the crisis that would cause Kiana to sacrifice herself, knowing if she does join, she has to say goodbye to Bronya and every other friend she has ever known. She will become an enemy to humanity, an enemy of Kiana, but at the least, she can ensure that Kiana will live, and she accepts, becoming the Hersher of Thunder. Of course, when Kiana finds this out, she tries to stop Mei from joining this organization. But just like Mei could not persuade Kiana, Kiana cannot persuade Mei. And thus, they fight. Kiana screaming and begging Mei to stop this, to not do this. Of course, Mei does not want to fight her dearly beloved Kiana, but she knows in order to save her, it must be done. To try to stop her, Kiana even resorts to using the very Hersher powers sealed away inside of her, which further risks her own lifespan. And Mei has to resort to fighting harder and harder, attempting to knock her out. But when Kiana finally unleashes the Hersher of Void's powers, and this is the most painful fight in the entire game. It's an epic and great fight, but you won't care about that in the moment. You will end up like Kiana, trying to fight your hardest so Mei won't leave. But Mei is too strong. She overwhelms Kiana. She overwhelms you, the player. She seemingly defeats you rather effortlessly. And then...
まだ終わってない。絶対に
Kiana and yourself roar back to life, changing forms to fight your absolute hardest, thus further endangering your own lifespan. But Kiana doesn't care. All she wants is to bring back Mei. They clash. Surges of memories flow through the battle, showing just how precious they are to one another. But Mei cuts even those flashbacks, cementing her iron will to save Kiana. You cannot win this fight. You will be defeated and on the grounds multiple times from how hard this fight is, but Kiana still refuses to give up, no matter how many times you are beaten down. One last clash is had. You mash that button as hard as you can, and it seems you may actually do it. You may actually be able to stop. But you can't stop it.
キアナちゃんはいつもこう体がボロボロなのに無理やりに笑う。あなたは私をみんなを助けてくれた。なのに一人で全てを背負おうとする。自分の命をも犠牲にして。
レイ先輩、それは私の使命だから。
世界を救いたいなんてそんなの分かってる。
レイ先輩、
どう耐えればいいっていうの。
レイ先輩、ダメ。
私にとってこの世界なんかよりもキアナちゃんの方がずっと大事よ。私に手を差し伸べてくれた。その手を掴んだ時から私の運命は変わった。あなたは私の人生の中で一番大事な人。もしあなたを助けることが罪ならその罪は私が背負う。さようならキアナちゃん。
After I saw this, I utterly broke down on stream, crying harder than I ever had in any video game I had streamed up to that point, because it was so tragic, but it was also so beautifully written. You could not blame Mei for her choice. She fell into darkness to save the one she loved from losing her life in pursuit of saving the world. And there is something beautiful about that. I won't tell you, of course, what comes next after the story, But there is one story arc that I love even more than this one. And I'm not going to spoil that for you. And that, at its core, is what Honkai Impact 3rd's story is. It is the story of a tragic world with an ongoing threat, and how individuals with power react to it. The costs they will go to save the world, be it experimenting on others, sacrificing themselves, and how some will actively betray humanity's greater good in order to save the ones they care about. Nothing in this story is remotely black and white. It is filled with twisted shades of gray. But it is also beautifully written. The characters are so relatable. I didn't even go into how much I love Seely, Fuha, Bronya, just so many characters with such good stories. But at the same time, the game isn't all doom and gloom, as it definitely has its funny moments. Hell, Senti-chan is basically a walking meme. In fact, she kinda carries most of the best comedy after she appears. The same can be said for the events. The events most of the time are pretty funny and really give you some much needed levity and relaxation after a serious heavy chapter. Such as an alternate reality where everyone is just relaxing on a vacation. The characters goofing off at an arcade, just having a good old time. But every now and again, the events can be just as serious as the story.
鋼のり青い瞳腐った世界に生まれた冷えた心灰色の空なのに君と会った君の瞳赤に染まった優しくて抱かれて君を守るための命なのになくなった光が強すぎか忘れてこの星と君を
As you can see, this game is an absolute emotional roller coaster. And if you end up loving the story as much as I do, the game even rewards that love with additional manga to read that gives more depth and more backstory on characters. How Bronya met Seely, what her past was, who that rage-filled person inside Kiana was. Just look at this. There are so many individual mangas to read, and they are of all the same quality as the story. Heck, they even have some goofy ones for you to read. And speaking of, there are silly little anime episodes of the characters just having fun on Honkai Impact 3rd's YouTube channel. There is an entire little mini-series dedicated to the characters just having fun and cooking, and it's just so wholesome and lovely, and it helps heal our hearts from the pain.
これは牛肉の缶詰。なんでベッドの下にこんなにあるわけ？非常食。じゃあこれは軍人の矜持。
The universe of Honkai Impact 3rd is so vast in both gameplay and story. You are rewarded regardless of which you love. Do you love the gameplay of Honkai Impact 3rd? Well, there's plenty of challenging endgame content to quench that thirst. Do you want to spend on the game? Well, the spending events reward that. Do you absolutely love the story and want to know more about Mei's backstory, Kiana's backstory, Himiko, and so many other characters? There is plenty of manga on Honkai's own site to read and further invest yourself in the world of Honkai Impact 3rd. This game just constantly rewards you. And that's what I really love about it. It really feels like the more time you put into the game, the more the game will reward you in various ways. Free characters, plenty of quality of life updates, making older characters easy to obtain, an amazing story, and that's why I've been playing this game consistently for 2 years. I absolutely love this game. It never stops rewarding you for all your investment in the game and its universe. Honkai Impact 3rd truly is one of the most impactful games of my life. And I truly hope that you will give it a chance after hearing all this. I finally did it. I did a review for this game and story I so dearly love. Ever since I started this channel, I have wanted to make a full review of this game, but I was always nervous. I would never be able to do this game justice, but I could not do it without the support of my editor, who helped make this video possible. Editor, you truly did an amazing job helping this dream video become reality. And of course, I could not gain the confidence without all my subs watching right now. Yeah, we broke 1,000 subs. I've known that for a while, and I cannot thank you enough for that. You are helping to fulfill a dream of mine, to make YouTube a full-time career. I can't thank you enough for helping me reach partner. I could not have gotten here without you all. I hope that after coming this far into the video, which I imagine is pushing over the 1 hour mark, you will consider leaving a like and maybe subscribe and hitting that notification bell and leaving a comment down below on what you thought of the video and what game you want me to do next. Don't ask another gacha besides FGO Genshin or Star Rail because I don't trust myself in gacha. Maybe consider becoming a member here on my channel even. You can even join one of my Ko-fi tiers if you really want to help support me in this endeavor. Hey, I also have a Discord you can join if you want to hear what I'm up to. We got an entire HoYoverse channel and Fate Grand Order channel and the like. Just fair warning, most of us are definitely on the perverted side when it comes to humor. I can normally be found streaming on here various games, side-scrollers like Mega Man and the like, and just being a funny empress. Once again, thank you so much to my editor for their fantastic work. To the 1,000 people that have subbed to this channel that helped push me this far. I hope this video was enough of a reward. I wanted to have the single most passionate and emotional review of Honkai Impact 3rd on YouTube. I don't know if this video will obtain this title, but at the very least, I'm proud of it. I put my entire being into writing the script for this, and I hope letting all my emotions into this resulted in a heavily entertaining watch for you all. Thank you all so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye!